Hello everybody, welcome back to the Anchorage House of Hobbies Workbench. We are here for another House of Hobbies how-to. We are going to be talking about the basics of airplanes, and we will go over the components in this video as well as control surfaces and terms. We'll talk about wing shape, how that affects it and why that matters, what makes a trainer and what is not a trainer and why. This will be a multi-part series. This first one covering the basics. The second video will go over a basic aircraft setup, and then the third will go into more advanced setup. So here we go. Basic parts of an airplane. You have the main fuselage, the main body of it. There is the main wing, the stabilizers. You have the vertical stabilizer and the horizontal stabilizer, landing gear and propeller. On the control surfaces, the horizontal stabilizer has the elevator, and that controls the pitch of the aircraft. The rudder on the vertical stabilizer, that controls the yaw of the aircraft. Then the ailerons on the main wing, that controls the roll. Add in the throttle and the propeller, and you have the four controls of a basic airplane. Throttle, roll, pitch, and yaw. Next is the wing shape. There's the wingspan, which is just simply the length of the wing from one tip to the other tip. And then you have chord, which is the depth of the wing from leading edge to trailing edge. Those two together contribute to the wing area. The larger the wing area, the more lift potential that wing has. A smaller wing requires more airspeed to generate the same amount of lift. That also is dependent on the airfoil shape. The airfoil is the side profile of the wing. A couple different ways that can go, but the flatter the wing bottom, the more lift it generates. This extreme trainer here has not just a flat bottom, but it actually has an under-cambered wing. It's curved underneath, and that generates even more lift. Flatten that out, and it's a little less lift. If it is more of a pure teardrop shape, similar to this P-51 wing, it generates less lift, but is more neutral. It flies similarly right side up as it would inverted. And then there is what's called dihedral, which is the way the wingtips are up compared to the root or the center of the wing. You can see that with this air tractor here. The wingtips are elevated versus the root, and that is kind of a center of gravity thing. With more dihedral, the aircraft wants to settle and center in an upright position, and that aids in stability of the aircraft. In addition to wing area and airfoil shape, wing load is an important factor to the overall lift of the aircraft. The wing load is the weight of the aircraft relative to its wing area. A lighter wing load, like this trainer cub, has more lift and can fly slower than this P-51, which has a higher wing load. Lift is ultimately generated by the airspeed, the speed of air traveling over the wing. The faster it goes, the more lift will be generated. If the airspeed drops low enough, then the wing stops generating lift, and what happens is called a stall. A wing with a lot of lift stalls at a much lower airspeed than a wing that generates less lift. This Cub can fly at a lower airspeed than this P-51. Last thing we'll discuss about aircraft shape and design is the wing placement. High wing, mid wing, or low wing. A high wing aircraft is inherently more stable due to the center of gravity on the wing. With the fuselage below the wing, it naturally wants to sit upright. It wants that weight to be down low. And that makes it more stable. Throw in dihedral, and it's extremely stable. A mid or low wing aircraft isn't as stable and does not naturally try and return to an upright position. It will stay and hold its orientation much more so, which is better for maneuvers, but less good for training. So what does this all mean? In order to pick out a trainer in RC aircraft, you want something that is easy to fly. You need something with lots of lift, something with a high wing, perhaps some dihedral, and a flat airfoil, so that it flies slower than something like a P-51 or an F-16, which has a much smaller wing area and less lift. This aircraft requires much higher airspeed to stay in the air. Why does that matter? Well, if you are learning how to fly, the controls you're not familiar with. Learning the muscle memory and hand-eye coordination to fly this aircraft a couple hundred feet away, and knowing that left stick rolls left, right stick rolls right, and so forth, that takes practice. It's not as easy as it looks. When it's coming back at you, left is right and right is left. And if you're still learning the controls, you need an aircraft that doesn't respond as quickly. A higher airspeed naturally means it will respond quicker because the air is moving faster over it. So your small inputs generate much more dramatic maneuvers than on a slower aircraft. The slow aircraft generates more lift, doesn't respond as fast, and so you can learn the controls. You can learn how to pilot and get it back safely. It's a lot of fun to fly, but it's a lot of fun to fly more than once. If you crash, you're less likely to keep going. So you want to work your way up the ladder. A P-51 is a good third or maybe fourth plane, depending on how quickly you take to it, whether or not you're using a simulator or how much time you spend with a trainer aircraft. And then eventually you can get to, a ducted fan jet or something that is really fast, if that is your desire. We can help you with that. So that is the most basics of RC aircraft and aircraft in general, really. Stay tuned for the second part of this, which we will be going over basic setup of an aircraft in a radio system, so you can learn to program a little bit. And then the third video will cover more advanced programming. We'll get into dual rates and exponential and stuff like that. So, thanks for tuning in. I am Ryan with the Anchorage House of Hobbies. This has been another Anchorage House of Hobbies how-to. Thanks. Have fun.